Duraga, and on behalf of the New Jersey Apprenticeship Technical Assistance Collaborative, I would like to welcome you all to this, our second webinar. Today we're going to be exploring the core elements of registered apprenticeship, the types of program design, and the roles of different entities in apprenticeship programs. Before we do that, though, I would like to do some housekeeping. This webinar is recorded and it will be available on the New Jersey Apprenticeship Technical Assistance Collaborative webpage. My colleague Darcy is dropping that URL in the chat right now. If you don't wish to appear on this recording, you're welcome to keep your camera off. Also, many of us are used to Zoom right now, but as you can see, if you were here earlier, sometimes we forget what's going on in Zoom. So we would like to ask you to please keep your microphones muted. If you are not asking a question, you can turn your camera on if you'd like. It might be easiest when we get to the question and answer period if you either put your answers put your questions in the Q&A, or if there's time, you can raise your hand and we will try to facilitate getting everyone asking questions live. We also would like to get to know a little bit about you. If you could, in the Q&A, just put your name and what organization you are from. That's helpful for us when we're answering questions and just getting a sense of who's here. And then also, we would like to let you know that if there are any problems during this, where you're having a technical issue, please either send a private message to Darcy Simon, or you can email her. It's dsimon@air.org. So that's pretty simple, dsimon@air.org if you run into any technical issues. Okay, with that, let's meet our presenters. Today's session is going to be facilitated by Maria Heidkamp, and she is the Chief of Innovation and Policy for the New Jersey Council of County Colleges. She is leading the New Jersey Apprenticeship Technical Assistance Collaborative Initiative. And then our presentation today will be from my colleague, Chris Herzog from American Institutes of Research. And American Institutes for Research is one of the partners on this project. With that, I am going to turn things over to Maria to let you know more. Maria, you are on mute.
Hi, for some reason, it wasn't letting me unmute. Thank you so much, Abby, and welcome to everyone who's joining us today. We're just thrilled to have you. We had great turnout and we're very excited. New Jersey has made a tremendous commitment to expanding registered apprenticeship, a proven earn and learn education and training model that helps industry meet workforce needs while connecting individuals to career pathways with family-sustaining wages. The New Jersey Apprenticeship Technical Assistance Collaborative is a statewide initiative that supports technical assistance for the growth and expansion of registered apprenticeship programs. The initiative is a partnership between the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, American Institutes for Research, or AIR, and Jobs for the Future, JFF, with support from the New Jersey Department of Labor. There are New Jersey Department of Labor staff on this webinar, and they will join us for the question and answer period. Next slide, please. This is the second of 3 webinars the New Jersey Technical Assistance Collaborative, A-TAC, has developed in the Fundamentals of Registered Apprenticeship series. This series is designed to promote a knowledgeable, skilled workforce of apprenticeship professionals in New Jersey. If you missed the first webinar, you can use the link that Darcy dropped a few moments ago in the chat. And now I'll turn things over to Chris Herzog. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Maria. So excited to see some familiar names coming through today. It's great to see you all again. And for those of you that haven't been before, this is an introduction to Registered Apprenticeship series. We have a lot of content to get through today. So I am going to go ahead and start the presentation, but I do want to encourage you as we go along, if you have questions, drop them into the Q&A. And if you have promising practices, things you're working on currently that speak to some of the things that we're talking about, put those in the Q&A section too, so that we can come back to them. We'd love to hear about places where you're having success. Registered apprenticeship is an employer-driven training model that combines on-the-job learning and supplemental instruction that lead to high-quality careers for apprentices and a pool of skilled workers for employers. There are 3 types of registered apprenticeship programs: time-based, competency-based, and hybrid programs, which allows employers to develop programs that really fit their training needs. And so we're going to talk a little bit about those today. In the session, we're going to cover the 7 elements of registered apprenticeship program model. We're going to explore those 3 types of program design and discuss program oversight and the role of sponsors. And then finally, we're going to take a look at how these elements show up in programs that are currently in operation in New Jersey. All registered apprenticeship programs share common elements, regardless of whether or not they are in carpentry or healthcare or cybersecurity. The 7 elements of registered apprenticeship differentiate this training model from other types of training programs like internships or work-based learning programs. Other training programs may have one or many of these elements. However, registered apprenticeship programs must have all of these elements to be registered with the Office of Apprenticeship. I'm going to talk very briefly about each one of these, but if you are interested in getting more detail on these, you can refer to the Apprenticeship 101 program that is included on the USDOL website. We'll give you a link to that at the end of the presentation today. So we'll talk just a little bit about industry-led. So industry-led programs are vetted by industry. They are continually updated to make sure that they're aligned with industry standards. And apprentices are trained for highly skilled, high-demand occupations. A paid job. From day one, apprenticeships are paid jobs. Apprentices earn progressive wage increases as their skills and productivity increase. Programs involve structured on-the-job learning to prepare for a successful career, which also includes instruction from experienced mentors. All registered apprentices also include related technical instruction. Supplemental education is a term currently used by the U.S. Department of Labor and maybe the term that you see used in their materials on apprenticeship.gov. But in New Jersey, this is still called related technical instruction, or RTI. So apprentices are provided related classroom training based on the employer's unique needs, and that will help to ensure the quality of the program and ultimately the success of the apprentices themselves. Programs are designed to reflect the communities in which they operate and to include strong non-discrimination, anti-harassment, and recruitment practices to ensure access, equity, and inclusion. So diversity is a focus of all registered apprenticeship programs as well. Quality and safety. We ensure that apprentices are afforded worker protections while they receive that rigorous training and make sure that they have all of the equipment and the skills that they need to be successful and to be safe, and to make sure that they have the supervision that they need. And last but certainly not least, credentials. First and foremost, we want to underscore that apprentices do earn a portable, nationally recognized credential within their industry, and that they can earn one or more certifications throughout their training. So when employers and partners begin to design a program, they're going to need to determine the type of apprenticeship program design that best fits their training needs. So while we have all of these 7 components, there are also 3 basic types of registered apprenticeship programs. There are time-based programs, competency-based programs, and hybrid programs. A time-based program is based on a specific number of hours spent doing the on-the-job learning activities. Progress is measured by the number of hours an apprentice has worked doing these activities. So time-based programs require at least 2,000 hours of on-the-job learning. Time-based programs are effective if the repetition of primary tasks is essentially what is sufficient for learning an occupation. A time-based structure is often preferred in the construction industry, for example, because licensing requirements for that sector often require a minimum number of hours of documented work experience. In competency-based programs, apprentices are evaluated based on the competencies they gained through on-the-job learning. The length of the program really depends on the pace at which apprentices are able to successfully demonstrate competency in skills and knowledge through proficiency tests. However, all apprenticeships, whether competency-based, time-based, or hybrid programs, must be at least 1 year and include at least 144 hours of classroom instruction. Competency-based programs are really effective in industries that are rapidly changing, such as information technology, healthcare, advanced manufacturing. As opposed to a more traditional time-based approach, these focus on identifying competencies that apprentices gain through that on-the-job learning that allows the registered apprenticeship program to always reflect the skills that are needed as the industry really evolves over time. A hybrid program combines the time spent in the on-the-job learning activities with competency attainment. For these, the apprentice must attain a set of competencies within a range of hours. In a hybrid program, it is possible for apprentices to move through the program more quickly as they gain proficiency, but a minimum number of hours is required to be spent in on-the-job learning activities. Hybrid programs are also useful for occupations and industry sectors that are rapidly changing and in which the skills needed continue to evolve over time. They allow employers to accelerate the on-the-job learning if the approach is if the apprentice is successfully attaining competencies. But it still provides a level of oversight to ensure that apprentices are spending the time necessary to really learn those required skills. Now that we've talked a little bit about the 7 elements of apprenticeship programs and the types of program designs, we're going to talk about who is responsible for really administering apprenticeship programs. The term sponsor refers to the entity that bears the full legal responsibility for operating a registered apprenticeship program. So program sponsors fall into 2 categories. There are single sponsors, which refers to an employer that has registered an apprenticeship program and provides all of the administration, the operation, and the oversight for the program. The single sponsor recruits apprentices that then work for them as apprentices. And whereas on the other hand, a group sponsor refers to an entity that administers an apprenticeship program that serves the needs of multiple employers in a single industry. A common example of a group sponsor would be a labor organization, such as the Northeast Carpenters Apprenticeship Training and Educational Fund, which oversees apprentice training for union carpentry employers throughout New Jersey. NCATF provides employers that have signed an employer acceptance agreement with apprentices that receive on-the-job learning and mentorship. Apprenticeship intermediaries are a type of group sponsor. Intermediaries are organizations such as community colleges, nonprofits, industry associations that serve as a hub for multiple employers and often multiple occupations. In this case, the intermediary is the sponsor and is responsible for the quality and the administration of the program. One example of a common intermediary is a community college, such as the County College of Morris. We'll talk about them a little bit later today, which serves as an intermediary in the advanced manufacturing sector and oversees multiple apprenticeship programs that serve employers across New Jersey, such as American Machine, Thor Labs, Norwalt, many more. Apprenticeship intermediaries are organizations that have the capacity, the expertise, and the resources to support businesses to launch apprenticeship within their company or to expand their apprenticeship offerings, perhaps to new occupations. Intermediaries really take on the administrative aspect of registered apprenticeship which allows employers to really focus then on training and mentorship. Program sponsors, regardless of whether they are an individual, a group, or an intermediary, are legally responsible for the administration and operation of the registered apprenticeship program. So this includes recruitment, screening, hiring, placing apprentices, executing formal apprenticeship and employer training agreements, coordinating that on-the-job learning or RTI, supplemental education training, and ensuring apprentice well-being and training progression over time. They also develop the affirmative action plans and with EEO regulations. So taking all of this, let's take a moment to really look at how different combinations of sponsorship and program design really show up in apprenticeship programs that are currently active in New Jersey. One example of an individual sponsor program in New Jersey is the Direct Support Professional Apprenticeship at Bancroft. This program is competency-based and takes about a year to complete. Bancroft provides treatment for a variety of challenging diagnoses, including autism, other intellectual and developmental disabilities, brain injury, in their facilities and in home. And they are both the employer and the sponsor for the apprenticeship program, meaning that they both provide the training and also administer all aspects of the apprenticeship program, including reporting apprentice information to the Office of Apprenticeship. As an aside, direct support professionals are those caregivers who work with people with physical or intellectual developmental disabilities and help them with daily activities. This is a relatively new program started in the last couple of years and already has a large number of apprentices registered. For an example of a group sponsor program, we're going to take a quick look at Roofers Local number 4. Group sponsorship is incredibly common in the construction trades and is usually overseen by a union training program such as this one, or by an industry-based trade association. So in this example, Roofers Local number 4 Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee administers the Roofer Apprenticeship Training Program. The program is time-based and takes about 4 years to complete, and apprentices receive regularly scheduled pay increases at every 1,000 hours of training. There are multiple employers in the region that sign an agreement with the Roofers Local number 4 to provide on-the-job learning in all of the required areas. And RTI, or supplemental education, occurs in classes at the training center using curriculum approved by the International Roofers Union. And a common workforce intermediary program example, as I mentioned before, is the County College of Morris. County colleges commonly play the role of workforce intermediary sponsor, and this makes sense as county colleges have the infrastructure to provide supplemental education, or RTI, administrative oversight, and they're really heavily invested in developing industry and business partnerships. In this example, the County College of Morris is the sponsor or administrator for apprenticeships in multiple occupations across the manufacturing and healthcare industries. They also provide the RTI for these occupations, which culminate in educational certificates, associate's degrees, or both. The County College of Morris has created a model pathway in advanced manufacturing where individuals seeking immediate employment in this field, known for family supporting wages and benefits, they complete an 8-week non-credit boot camp program and then enter the workforce intermediary on completion. Students completing the boot camp program in advanced manufacturing then earn multiple industry credentials, including OSHA 10 and NIMS. Additionally, college credit in the college's mechanical engineering technology degree program is awarded on completion of the boot camp program. The county college manages the interview process with area manufacturers so that each student is insured interviews with up to 5 different employers. And currently, the employment rate is sitting at about 93%. Employers are then encouraged to hire these entry-level employees as apprentices, and the county college supports, as an intermediary, 8 Department of Labor registered apprenticeships, ranging from industrial maintenance and CNC operator to quality assurance and quality control. About 50% of the new hires are hired as apprentices. So when we think about putting this all together, there are a number of next steps that you are able to take, from finding out about existing programs in your area by contacting the apprenticeship training representative in your county, to discovering funding opportunities through the New Jersey Department of Labor website. And we really want you to take the opportunity to explore that NJ-ATAC website link that Darcy put in the chat a little bit earlier, and to connect with the community of practice. There's also an opportunity to learn more through the U.S. Department of Labor's Registered Apprenticeship Academy. And that link will be included shortly, and we'll include that for you. We also encourage you to register for our next webinar, and there will be a link at the end of the presentation for that as well. So in order to accomplish all of that, we are providing you with our New Jersey apprenticeship contacts once again. As a reminder, for assistance registering programs with the USDOL Office of Apprenticeship, for program development, you want to contact the team on the left. There are a list of apprenticeship training representatives included here by region. So we encourage you to reach out to them. And additionally, NJDOL Office of Apprenticeship helps with state grants and inquiries, general inquiries about registered apprenticeship. As a reminder, the Office of Apprenticeship does not use the NJDOL intake form that we've included as a link in the presentation that you'll have access to later, but that is great for informational requests to NJDOL. All right. So I have covered a lot, a lot of material over the course of the past 20 minutes or so. And now is your opportunity to drop some questions into the chat or to share with us some of your promising practices. So please use the Q&A feature to add questions and comments for us, for Maria, for our team from New Jersey Department of Labor. We have John Martinez and Michael Blatt here with us today. You can also raise your hand and we'll give you access to unmute as we start to engage in some discussion. And it looks like we do have one question in the chat already. Amber was asking, is there a link that shows what are considered approved credentials in different fields? I'm going to pass that one to John. John, would you like to unmute and answer that question?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Amber. That's a great question. So I don't think that there's a certain link for approved credentials, because different industries and different occupations have certain credentials that are necessary, especially certain occupations, and those occupations that have credentials that are required, those would be naturally built into the work process, the training guide for that occupation. Other credentials that a certain organization may require, those can be kind of built into that training guide as needed.
Great, thanks, John. We have another question from Michael Strom. Where is the best place to find apprenticeship programs in a county or region of New Jersey where they're currently recruiting, and are the deadlines listed? Michael or John?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Chris. So they can contact our office and we'll be able to sort of have that discussion with them in terms of what opportunities are available in that particular county, if on the apprentices side, if in other words, if you have an organization that's looking to place apprentices, certainly we could work with them by placing them on the on our resource list in terms of where companies can recruit from. As you mentioned, diversity is an incredibly important aspect of registered apprenticeship. We seek to look to meet with all types of organizations that can sort of provide those candidates to the apprenticeship programs.
Great. Thanks so much. All right. Are there other questions? Ooh, we have a question from Maria. Some customers and staff get a little lost in the DOL website. Can we get a monthly report of all apprenticeship programs with contact info? Michael or John, do you want to take that?
Depending on what the information, most of that information is not really for public consumption. There's usually a lot of PII information on that. So depending on who is requesting that information, we would then be able to parse that out and see whether or not we'd be able to send that information out.
Terrific. Thanks for that, Michael. All right, other questions? I think I briefly saw Fran raise a hand, but I am not sure. We have another person that's raising a hand. Darcy, can you help us out with unmuting the folks that have raised a hand?
Sure. I saw John first, so you should be able to unmute.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Barry. I am Program Director for Native American Advancement Corporation. We're headquartered in Brixton and in Salem. I oversee the Cohasset Climate Corps. We're a state of New Jersey AmeriCorps program, and we are in the process of doing apprenticeship using the ISA certified arborist credential. I've actually reached out to Nicole, so I'm in the very beginning stages of working through our curriculum to get approved. My question, I guess, would be for John. Now, I'm looking through the rapid code for this one would be tree trimmer 0607. It says estimated time to complete. Now, my issue is my members sign up for a service term of 1,200 hours. They can do up to 3,600 hours. And with speaking with ISA, they've confirmed with us that once a member completes one season with us, which is 1,200 hours, they would qualify with a letter of reference to sit for the exam. I just wanted to get your opinion on that versus the estimated time with the hybrid. Is that a hard number, or is that like a case by case basis? Because like even today, like my guys are out, working. So I just want to get your spin on that.
This is Michael. John, I'll take that one. The 2,000 hours is a hard minimum. That's just per federal regulation that a minimum amount of time on the job for a registered apprenticeship program must be 2,000 hours. But the model itself is incredibly flexible in the sense that you might have a certain set of competencies. In other words, the related instruction piece has to be that minimum of the 144 hours per year recommended for the related instruction. The actual on the job must be, if it's a time-based, be a minimum of 2,000 hours. But we can work with you to build that out because there is a flexibility to the model. We can't reduce hours, but we could certainly work with you to develop additional competencies or maybe certifications that would fulfill the requirements.
Okay, got you. So because I called Rutgers last week, and I was explaining what's going on with us because of my term that just ended, one just started. And we're trying to get chainsaw certification. And they're like, well, there's no specific chainsaw certification for these guys, but you could create one and this and that. So I think that's what you're saying, is that we could build in the competencies and tag certain certifications to them. Right. And then I guess the other part would be, so if I understand you correctly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're 100% correct. What we could do is if you're
So,
right now, if you have a current of about approximately 1,200 hours of that you need, we could then, we need to look at the occupation that's been approved by industry and see where we can make some
okay,
adjustments. You can adjust work processes up to approximately 20%. It doesn't mean you can reduce the time, but we can substitute certain things in that depending on whether they're firm specific requirements or not. So there is a flexibility there. And
Yeah.
you're in good hands with Nicole.
okay,
Thanks so
now,
much.
okay.
Thanks so much
Yeah,
for the
keep it in mind,
question,
yeah.
John. Thanks so much for the question, and Michael for the answer, because I think that applies to a variety of different occupations and industries, right?
Indeed.
So appreciate the question, John. Okay. Darcy, can we move on to the next?
Sure. We also, I see Amber raised her hand, and I also see Francis. So we'll go in that order, and then we've got a few others in the Q&A that have come in.
Great. Thanks, Darcy.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I had actually reached out to John about this, but I just wanted to get a little bit further information. I was in a webinar, I believe last week, where they mentioned, oh, if you get approved through the state of New Jersey for a registered apprenticeship, it actually can be nationally approved as well. And John kind of confirmed that with me. But I just wanted to see, because as we're working with some of these companies and you know, we're starting to reach out to larger companies that have a lot of locations throughout the state, but also out of state. So if we wanted to expand what we're doing and be able to support them in different locations, is there something that we would need to do if, say, like they have a New York location and they want to use the same apprenticeship that they're using in their New Jersey locations?
Yeah, Amber, good to hear from you. Yeah, actually, and I'm sure John, if you want to follow up as well, you can. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple ways we could do that. Depending on the size of the program and the scope of the program, we can convert your local apprenticeship standards to a national program, depending on the qualifications that you have, meaning how many states you're working in, how many apprentices, or we could always adapt your local standards to become national guideline standards, which basically means those are standards that can be taken to any other state and duplicated. So yeah, there are ways that we can expand your footprint. John, you want to follow up as well?
Yeah.
You know, Amber, I'll set up a time so that we can discuss specifics
Sure.
on how to move forward.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great, because I mean, nothing concrete yet, but I see it going in that direction. So I just want to I want to be ready and be able to help these companies out, you know, sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Amber. Appreciate it. We'll go to Fran now, and then we'll move back into the Q&A queue. Fran, can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sure can.
Yay. I just wanted to put in the comments about, we keep talking about the issues of sustainability. And I know that I've had conversations with Michael and John, and we are the Workforce Development Board in New Jersey that is a certified sponsor for USDOL. And we're using our Title I funding as a sustainable source of funding for registered apprenticeship as well, because of that status. And I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to encourage my colleagues to become more involved in, because it gives us a platform to really develop some relationships with employers that are longstanding relationships that can be sustainable. So I'm throwing in my 2 cents about, because I know when we look at funding for a lot of these projects, it is always based on grants, and grants are, we know most of the time they're finite in their duration. So I'm talking about the sustainability of funding through Title I of WIOA for registered apprenticeships, for RTIs, and possibly for on-the-job learning as well. Our current policy has it established that we can help employers both with the RTI and for a limited amount of time for the on-the-job learning component for those folks that we identify as Title I eligible and placed in a registered apprenticeship program. And we're just beginning some of those projects now with some of the smaller employers. I know that a lot of the registered apprenticeship processes are focused on bigger employers. We do not have that many bigger employers, but there are a lot of small mom and pop shops for electricians, HVAC manufacturers that we're also working with to try to build up their talent pool through a registered apprenticeship process. So I'm throwing in my 2 cents for workforce development boards as a viable vehicle for moving registered apprenticeship forward in New Jersey as well.
Yeah, Fran, I just want, oh, go ahead, Michael.
Can I jump in?
No,
I just want to thank Fran for highlighting that as we are getting ready to join the State Employment and Training Commission for some sessions that they're having about WIOA state plans coming up. I mean, this would be a really good example to highlight. So I may follow up with you offline on that, but that is an area we're very interested in. And that's in part why we're so glad that we have both community colleges and workforce boards participating in our A-TAC initiative.
Good.
Yeah, first of all, I can't express how much, Fran's contributions to apprenticeship in New Jersey have carried us through. He is a true champion of registered apprenticeship, and I always am very grateful for his contributions. But to follow up on that, and I agree with that, is I think it's very important for us to work with the workforce boards. The local workforce boards understand their county's needs. They understand the employer's needs in their county. They are that front line with those employers. And I think that it's really important that the workforce boards sort of think about it that way, because I think that apprenticeship can really assist many of these employers in these local workforce boards counties.
Love that. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Fran. I am a huge advocate for system alignment, and workforce boards and community colleges both provide an effective mechanism to make sure that we're aligning our funds and training programs well. And thank you for your contributions to New Jersey Registered Apprenticeship.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. In the chat, we have a couple of very specific questions. I'm not sure if these might be handled better by an ATR, or if you want to take a quick answer for these. Michael or John, who is the best person to contact for apprenticeship in the motion picture industry? A workforce development coordinator for the Housing Authority wants to know about how to streamline referrals based on where apprenticeship openings are located, deadlines, and other requirements. Do you have answers for those or recommendations?
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in on the
Sure.
film industry, if I may. First of all, hi, Linda. It's great to see you. It has been a while, but I'm glad you're here. We can talk more about this, but New Jersey will have at some point soon a film academy involving several of the community colleges. I'm not sure if it'll be structured as one of our pathways to career opportunities, Center of Workforce Innovation, or exactly how it will be configured, but we can definitely follow up on that. That is getting underway right now. And Michael, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. That's actually great information to know as well, because I think that's a great way to start constructing related instruction, which, when we talk about non-traditional occupations, I agree with everybody on this panel that the community colleges are uniquely positioned to be able to develop curriculums for many non-traditional occupations. And I think that's the way we have to move in this state to get better and better participation with the community colleges. But you can also, if these slides are going to be shared, the contact slide, depending on what county that these employers are located in, please feel free to reach out to that county's assigned ATR. There are approved occupations in the motion industry sector, so we actually have a lot of material that we can utilize to develop programs for that sector.
Great. Thanks so much. We have another question around, do we have any data on the current skills needed in the workforce across various industries to help guide future program development?
Yes, actually, utilizing ONET, the ONET website, can give potential registered apprenticeship sponsors or organizations, whoever's interested in it, a good overview of what the current competencies are and the particular employment outlooks as well. So I always encourage people to go on to ONET. It's one of the resources we use when we start developing new occupations. And the one thing I also want to say is that, there's over 1,100 nationally approved occupations right now. We'll always have the ability to add to that. So if there's an occupation that's not approved yet, we can work with you to actually develop that occupation, get it recognized as nationally approved, and utilize it.
Apprenticeship.gov is also, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
Apprenticeship.gov is also a good resource for finding those different skills. They kind of take some of that information from the ONET. So yeah, apprenticeship.gov has an occupation finder that organizations can use to look at the required skills in certain occupations.
Great point, John. Thank you.
And I just want to add to that again, we have this Pathways to Career Opportunities initiative that the Council's Workforce Consortium sponsors. It's in partnership with the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. NJBIA will be holding forums with different industry sectors to collect information about the needs, workforce needs for the short term and I guess medium and long term. But we have a lot of resources around New Jersey's labor market, and we partner with, of course, NJDOL on this and on other initiatives. And if there is an interest, we can coordinate with some of the labor market researchers at NJDOL and put together a session on that with them. So thanks.
And I'll just drop in a plug for ETA's Competency Model Clearinghouse as well. If you're just starting to work with a group of employers in an industry, that's a great place to gather some information as well. Okay. Looks like Keith has a hand raised. Darcy, if you could help us out with that.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Harold J. Thompson, actually standing and representing for Keith Davis, who couldn't be at this webinar. Thank you again for having me. It's been a pleasure. I just had a quick question in terms of DEI sector. How do you plan to expand the apprenticeship platform to the DEI sector? And how can we get more employers in the underprivileged sector to become more involved? And how can we get other employers to work closer and collaborate with more of the companies and employers within that sector?
Michael, do you want to take that, or?
Sure. No. Yeah. Well, first of all, as mentioned both in the presentation, DEIA is a cornerstone of registered apprenticeship. It's one of the most effective things about registered apprenticeship is the whole idea of diversity. In other words, it's a basic requirement when you're looking at candidates is how do you level that playing field? How do you create those opportunities? The U.S. Department of Labor and the Office of Apprenticeship spends an enormous amount of time on this, and we're working tirelessly on this in terms of developing those resources so that employers can have a pool of potential people in whether they be underutilized communities or underserved communities or underserved populations. The whole point of registered apprenticeship is to be able to expand it to that. So there are resources both on apprenticeship.gov and, even within the state of New Jersey with the workforce boards and whatnot, that have organizations that can present candidates to potential employers.
All right. Thank you. That answered my question.
John, didn't you have anything you wanted to add? I saw that you unmuted.
No, I was just going to say that what Michael's talking about, the lists that we create on apprenticeship.gov, they're constantly being updated. As we hear from, like I can say personally, when I hear from an organization that serves underrepresented populations, I'm constantly adding those different organizations onto our database, and I'm constantly feeding that source to different registered apprenticeship sponsors.
Great, thanks so much, John. Darcy has added into the chat that link to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility resources on apprenticeship.gov.
Excellent.
All right, we had one question left in the Q&A, wondering about how to streamline referrals for the housing authority, knowing deadlines and other requirements, and how to connect a little bit better. Do you have any advice for that, Michael or John?
Yeah, they could just reach out to me, you know, and I'll make sure that it gets to the proper ATR that is either working in that county or who, you know, is working in that particular field or with that particular initiative or policy.
All right, and one last question about approximate number of apprenticeship programs and how many customers are enrolled in these. I will note that is included in our first webinar recording that is saved to the NJ-ATAC website link. So we do have it there, but Michael, if you'd like to share approximate number of programs and customers.
Sure. Currently, right now, we have approximately 1,200 programs in the state in various stages of whether they be development or active programs. In terms of apprentices, currently there are approximately 8,400 or so registered active apprentices in New Jersey right now. And those, you know, go across all industry sectors, all occupation opportunities.
Thanks so much, Michael. All right, I think we're going to wrap up our Q&A for today. Appreciate all of your questions that you have shared with us. Just walking through quickly what we covered today as I minimize a couple of other things on our screen. Registered apprenticeship programs have 7 elements. We've talked about each of those, from industry-led to being paid jobs, on-the-job mentoring and learning, supplemental education, diversity, equity, inclusion, and just a focus on the fact that this differentiates registered apprenticeship from other training programs like internships. We also talked a little bit about how apprenticeship programs can be flexible. Michael talked about that as well as I did, and using time-based, competency-based, or hybrid designs can help employers really choose the best way to meet their training needs. New Jersey apprenticeship programs really are diverse in design and how they are administered. And hearing from some of the folks in the meeting today, we know that there continues to be evolution over the course of time and a lot of innovative thinking that's going on right now. We appreciate you all continuing to work with the registered apprenticeship system in New Jersey to help us innovate. Our next webinar will be Thursday, January 25th at noon again, working with business and employers to create apprenticeship opportunities. So we'll be focusing in this particular webinar on business engagement as a tool for apprenticeship expansion, what the components of business engagement look like, and resources and tools that support business engagement skills, and really how to begin to connect employers you happen to be talking to with the great folks at the Office of Apprenticeship. All right, additional resources and links are included in the presentation. We'll share a link to this presentation in the coming week, but keep in mind, Apprenticeship USA is there, Workforce GPS is there. For those of you that are new to apprenticeship, Apprenticeship Professionals Learning Network has an even larger group of resources. The NJ-ATAC website is live, and we encourage you to continue the process as you have time to learning more about the registered apprenticeship system. We do want your feedback, and we're going to send an automatic survey to you to help us understand whether or not we're meeting your needs. So please click on the link following this email. It just take a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes to answer some questions, and we'd really appreciate the feedback. So with that, I'm going to end my presentation. I'm going to pass it to Maria to close up for us today. Thank you all so much for your time, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in January.
Thank you so much, Chris. I just want to say again how grateful we are to New Jersey Department of Labor for their support, for USDOL's participation today, Michael and John. It's just great to have you and to be able to team up with you on this work. And especially to our experts from AIR and JFF, but today, especially from our AIR team, Chris, Darcy, Abby, and the entire team. We are just so, it's just terrific to have you to help us in New Jersey expand registered apprenticeship. So with that, on behalf of the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, I wish everybody a good rest of the day, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in January.